Welcome back to Let's Talk Business. My name is Maria Medina. I am your networking and business coach with the Coaching Network. And today I am joined by another local here in Southern California, Jackson. Jackson, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Thanks, Maria. My name's Jackson. I live in Orange. I manage my own office as a financial advisor, and I work with a firm called Modern Woodman. So we've been around since 1883, but I manage my own office, and I'm a financial advisor.
Thank you for being here today. I love that we met through the chamber, and now finally I got you on this series. I'm really excited that you applied on here. I was counting down. I was like, how long have I been in Orange now? And it's only been a year and a half, and it feels like it's been so much longer just from the connections that I've made with the chamber.
Yeah, there's always something to do in Orange, I feel like, especially through the chamber, and I've been so busy with all that stuff, I feel like. So it's really become a family. So yeah, it's been cool to meet you, and it's special.
The first question that I always like to ask my guests is what has been your biggest success so far in your entrepreneurial journey, and why do you think it has had such a big impact on what you're doing?
Well, my biggest success honestly has been the personal growth that I've gotten out of this business. There's been a lot of different things that have been success stories, but it's been personal. And last year I got invited to this thing called the Duke of Orange. And if you had met me 2 years ago, even like a year and a half ago, you would have never thought that me knowing me, especially family members knowing me, would be doing anything like this. But for me, it was an opportunity to step out of my comfort zone. And basically, the Duke of Orange was something that, as a business owner, I was invited to through the chamber. And basically, it's a male talent contest, and there was like 10 or so contestants. And very last minute, I said, sure, let's just do it, YOLO. And I was super nervous, but I ended up performing in front of a couple hundred people, and I did the piano and I sang, and that was something that, had I not gone down this route as an entrepreneur growing my business, I don't think I would have ever done that. And looking back on that experience, that was one of my successes that
I love that because it made you step out of your comfort zone into something else. And was it as scary as you thought it was going to be?
Oh yeah, no, it was horrible. But after the fact, it's like everything's fine. No one's dead. Like it was all fine. But yeah, of course, that's all normal. And I think it was a big deal to me to like kind of prove myself of like, hey, I can do this, and it's okay to be a little uncomfortable and push through that.
I like that. I like that you said, yeah, it was still uncomfortable. But I bet now when you are put in other uncomfortable situations, you're probably going to be like, you know what? I can get through this too.
Yeah, like it's gonna be okay. That's one of the things that I've learned from my dad actually. He said, we have this weird belief that everything's gonna be okay. And I just feel like I've gone to a place where I have a lot to offer, um, and I want to give back, and I want to, inspire other people. So that was something that was important to me.
One of the things in that what you said about what you and your dad say reminded me, it's one of the things that I say to my clients when they're like, oh, but I need to reply fast, or I need to do this, or I need to do that. I said, you're not a brain surgeon. Nobody's going to die if you don't reply in the next hour. You can take Saturday off. That's okay.
Yes, and putting yourself first is really important. Because then if you don't put yourself first, yeah, it's tough though, because you want to please others naturally, and you want to have excellent customer service, and that's super important. But you can't, it's like the analogy of being on a plane. You have to put on your own air mask before you start helping other people.
That's right. Yeah. I was literally having that conversation yesterday, and she was talking about taking care of her kids and her business and her job. And she said, but first, I have to make sure that I'm peak, I'm taking care of like me mentally, me physically, so that I'm capable to take care of others. And to that effect, so that we're able to deal with challenges, what would you say your biggest challenge so far has been, and how did you overcome it? And I'm like, is he going to use the Duke one again?
That was a good one. No, but it's similar. I feel like a lot of what I go through stems from like, past experiences and like how I grew up. I think one of the challenges that I've had in this business and just life in general is fitting in. I like fitting in. It's easy. Um, it's a learned skill. I think fitting in is a skill at some level, and I've become very good at it. However, I think this last year has been really revealing to me as a business owner, especially someone that wants to grow with his clients. If you keep fitting in, you run the risk in the long run of that doing more harm to yourself and your business, where, like, gosh, it's kind of sad and kind of scary to think about how long I've lived a life of just fitting in because I care so much about what other people think. And that can be good at times, but what I've realized in the last year is it's so important to be authentic and genuine. And as a result, your business and what you're doing is going to increase or grow tenfold because you're just being yourself. And people like that. They want someone who's authentic and genuine. They don't want someone who is hard to read. And that's been kind of my biggest struggles is fitting in. And I'm learning to just be okay with myself and more comfortable and be a little weird at times. I think that's
It makes you interesting, and I feel that it actually builds that genuine connection, which is why I'm so quick when anybody says, "How did you meet your wife?" I'm like, "Buffy the Vampire Slayer, ask me more." Like, uh I don't really shy away from what makes me different, because then the next time you see me, you're going to remember that story, or you're going to remember my belt buckle, or you're gonna remember what makes me different. And I always tell my clients, use your otherness. Are you the only Latino in the room? Are you the only woman? Are you the only young professional in the room? Use it, because you're gonna be more memorable to the people that are talking to you.
yeah, and it's stressful to put up, a facade or mask. It's very stressful. So like if you're networking and trying to meet other business owners or potential clients, that's could be an unnecessary stress, I think, for no reason, because you're trying to what? Prove something.
Yeah, because you're watching what you're saying, watching how you're standing and what you're doing. Just
And then you mess up and you're like, oh, I didn't stick to the script, and then you freeze. I've been there. I'm like, oh no, I didn't say that one word, and then I freeze. And if I just like took it as a normal thing, and mistakes will happen, it would have been, and I'm being genuine, it would have been way better. But it was a learning experience.
one of the things, and I have introverts that I work with on a networking side, that I tell them, because a lot of the time they're nervous. They're nervous about what they're saying, what other people are thinking about them. And I always I say, think back to the last conversation you had with somebody and tell me word for word what they said at the beginning of the conversation. You're not going to remember. You have no idea what they said because you're so focused on yourself, and so are they.
That's a great point. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody is just focused on themselves. What they are going to walk away with is how you made them feel. Did you make them feel heard? Did you make them feel like they connected with you? Did you make them feel like, wow, that was a great conversation, I want to talk to that person again? No, they said the wrong word and they talked about the wrong topic.
Yeah, and yeah, people appreciate just like being normal, like just having a normal conversation. They can hear it when you start getting weird.
Yeah, it starts feeling pitchy, it starts feeling fake and salesy. So, apart from that, if there was one thing you wish you knew, like being yourself, being authentic is going to be good for business. If there was one thing that you wish you knew before you started in your entrepreneurship journey, what would that be?
Having systems in place is really important. You're your own boss, and it's not like you have someone breathing down your neck saying you got to be in the office at 9 a.m., you're clocking out at 5. It's not like that. It's sometimes lonely, and if you don't have structure and systems, and by that I mean it can look different for everyone, but having a morning routine, hitting daily or weekly or monthly metrics so that you know you're on track, doing something at night, making sure you're getting enough sleep and exercise and dieting, or not dieting, just eating well. Having that structure and having these systems in place can create small wins. It can build momentum. And in my business, momentum is super important. With momentum, it's like, hey, I have all these meetings on the books. Let's keep those meetings. Let's get the reschedules. Let's get warm introductions. Let's keep all that going. It's very hard to get to that point. But once you're at that point of, okay, we have all these meetings on the books. The meetings are going well. We're rescheduling them to do portfolio reviews. We're having a flow of introductions and referrals, and we're networking. Life is good at that point. But when life is bad and you go through a season of business, because it's all can be seasonal at times, what do you have to fall back on but not your systems? And those small wins can lead to big wins. And I've realized big wins is kind of like that saying of lucky opportunities come to those who are prepared. So it's kind of out of your control, those bigger wins. Certainly, you need to be prepared for that moment, but it's the small wins and the systems that I wish I knew, because that first year I got started, there was none of that. And I was very much working off of my emotions and was like, oh, this sucks, or this is the best day ever. And having that structure would have been, the knowledge of that structure would have been really important.
I like that. And I'm a huge proponent of systems, and I love to tell people this is the way that you avoid the entrepreneurial roller coaster of up, down, where your motivation depends on when you close your last deal. And when you have a system in place that you can say, hey, I'm slow right now, but I'm following the system. So I know that in 2 weeks or in a month's time, it's going to pick up again. I can continue and I can stay motivated to continue to do the things that I'm doing, because I'm controlling what I'm able to control, which is myself and the things that I do. A lot of people struggle with that when they come from a corporate setting and they're used to having their boss saying, hey, this is what you need to do today, this is your responsibility, 9 to 5, clock in, clock out, stop thinking about it. But often we're our own worst bosses, and when we have those systems, we can have a little bit more grace with ourselves, we can have a little bit of accountability, and we can be nicer to ourselves.
Yeah, and you said control. There's so much that we have in our control. When at times we feel like, oh, there's no point, or this will never turn around. There's small things that you can have that you have control over. And if you just focus on those small things at first, that is going to be super powerful. And that's been powerful for me. Just, hey, what can I control?
And what have I been paying attention to that I know is going to help me when I lose this control, where I feel like I've lost control of what I'm doing? And if I have been paying attention to what I'm doing and I have the systems in place to fall back on, like you said, fall back on that. I always like to use the analogy of building a house. And not only are the systems the foundation to your house, but you are the core of the house. You're in the middle of the house. You're that pillar that keeps the roof up when everything else is falling apart. And if you don't take care of yourself, as we mentioned earlier, you're not going to be able to have a strong foundation and build up from there.
It's so funny you say that, because one of the first questions and conversation we have in an intro meeting when I sit down with a client is, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Client, just like you build a good house, we want to build from the ground up. A good house has a good foundation. So that's your emergency fund, your protection, and then we can get into the more fun stuff and the stocks and all that other stuff. But having that foundation allows you to have that buffer, something to fall back on if something happens.
Yeah, and knowing that, hey, I started from the right place. I know that if some of these things as I'm growing fail or they go awry or not quite how I wanted them to, I can settle on the foundation and start again, but I have something solid that I can build from. And when we're learning all this, we're learning it from personal experiences, conversations, professional developments, maybe reading, attending seminars. We're always trying to find the next big thing. And I would love for you to share what is a resource, or whether it's a podcast, a book, a person that you would recommend to somebody who's currently struggling in entrepreneurship.
Ooh, there is this book that I just finished. It's called Letting Go. It's a dense read. So I do Audible, and I think it's like 12 or 13 hours. But that one's really good. It's by David Hawkins. He's a PhD, MD. He's coming from like a psychiatrist, psychotherapist background. And the title's Letting Go. So in the book, it talks a lot about your emotions and things like fear and the fact that we hold on to things that we're not even aware we're holding on to, like literally emotionally holding on to things. And a lot of the premise is letting go of that. and gaining control of your life. And it talks about love and unconditional love, and there being a really strong power that you can tap into within yourself, but also outside of yourself. And it's a little geeky, a little psychological. However, I think in business, a lot of what you're doing as a business owner is managing emotions for yourself, for your clients. And the whole premise is like, don't let your emotions control you. You can gain control of them.
I like that. I'm going to give that a read. I actually had a book similar in concept that I recommended to one of my clients recently, which was called How to Stop Trying.
Okay, I've not heard of it.
I would I would recommend it to you, but it's quite on the feminine side because it's talking about like infertility, but it does talk about it talks about sports and competitive sports and how sometimes we think something is for us and we just keep trying and trying and trying and we're like, oh my god, why is this not working for me? I should be better. I just need to train more. I just need to try harder. But we've never been taught to say, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should just stop trying at this and see what I'm actually. So I like the premise of this one about letting go and saying, you know what, maybe my emotions are too attached to this. I need to step back and see where all of this is coming from.
Yeah, I think we can get really distracted, and this was a good way to take yourself out of your own being and be like, whoa, there is maybe some trauma that I'm holding on to, and that could be holding you back. But like trauma, everyone has their version of trauma, but for me, this was a very research forward way of looking at it, which I liked.
Thanks. Thanks for sharing that. One of the pillars that I teach in my communications course is understanding where are you coming from and also being empathetic, where's the other person coming from. And I think it's very important to have that mindfulness to understand, are my past experiences dictating how I'm reacting now? And is it appropriate to be reacting to the situation based on my past experiences? Or am I taking things out of context? I don't want to end on a serious note because this could get like really philosophical and really deep. What is one fun fact you would like to share about yourself?
Oh gosh. Well, I love food and I make food and I try to be as healthy as possible. One of my favorite food dishes growing up was mac and cheese, and my dad and mom would put tuna and peas in it. So I don't know if you've ever heard of something like that, but it was a box of mac and cheese, usually the white cheddar, and then a like regular tin of tuna, and then some frozen peas, and then I put like ketchup or hot sauce on it. So I still do that, and it's a quick, easy protein snack, and it's one of my favorite snacks.
I love that. I've had it not with mac and cheese. I've had it with like pasta, peas, tuna, and mayo. And I would, yeah, similar, but not with cheese. That sounds like it's worth a try.
I told my coworker about it the other day, and he's like, "No way." He's like, "You got to bring that to the office." I'm like, "If you want me to sync up the office, I'll bring it."
Oh yeah, because it's hot tuna.
Yeah, so I heat that up in the microwave. I'm that guy.
Well, thanks for sharing your cooking abilities and your special recipes for where we're in a pinch and we need to have a quick meal. If anybody would like to steal that recipe for you or just connect with you on a professional or personal level, what's the best way for them to reach out?
I have an Instagram. I have a LinkedIn that you can follow me on, Jackson R. Wells. And then if you look me up, Jackson Wells Financial Advisor, and put in Orange or Modern Woodman, you'll find me online too. And you can find the website.
Amazing. Thank you again for being here with us today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. I'll make sure to share all of Jackson's contact information in the description below. And I hope you come back for another episode of Let's Talk Business. Thanks again, Jackson.